What is up, my friends? We are back for our match reaction after Liverpool deservedly lose 2-1 to Crystal Palace, who were the better side on the day. It was an abject performance which we tried to rescue in the second half by basically emptying the bench and sticking on a load of players and hoping for the best. It was nowhere near good enough. Like I said, defensively shambolic. Lots of questions for us to ask today. And look, I want to start off by giving congratulations to our opponent. You know, they did to us what we've done to so many teams so far this season, which is score a heartbreaking late winner, but one that over the course of the 90 minutes, I don't think many can deny they deserved. We're going to pick the bones out of the result as always. We'll ask you to vote for your man of the match and give us your thoughts on the game. Plenty to go through there, but my initial takeaway from that one, folks, is we can't defend. We can't defend. We're weak. We were bullied. And again, a long throw in undone us. A corner in the first half undone us. We are just so poor defensively. Yeah, I want to go through a couple of comments as well. Adam said, "You'll never walk alone, Craig. Still top of the league and love you. Thank you, bro." Arsenal fan said, "Slaughter time didn't work this time." No, it didn't, mate. And, you know, fair is fair. We lost the game. No problems with it. Palace were the better side and they deserve to win. I have a lot more questions than answers this week. And I guess the first thing is, how do you rest basically an entire first team and yet they still go out there and look like they've only met each other and don't know what they're doing? Many of us don't understand what Arne Slot's style is and the way we're playing. Yeah, I've lots of questions. Like, we've been getting away with it every week, and we know we have. You know, there's not any Liverpool fans I'm aware of that think we have delusions that we're playing amazingly well. This reaction, this performance, this scoreline was going to come and bite us at some point. And I want to start off again by being very clear. Crystal Palace deserved to win. Crystal Palace were the better team, and though it was heartbreaking at the end, they deserved that. We could have been 5 or 6-0 down at half time, and not one of us could have complained about it. Palace were superior in every aspect, and that is a worry. Where is the money? Where are the players? Where are the performances? Canade, a disgrace. Salah, invisible. Wirtz still not settled in. I don't know what else to say. Arne best get his finger out and best get into these players, because we have no Giovanni Leone. Canade, who has had 50% of the season, absolutely diabolical after a few good weeks. Our right back situation looks all over the shop. Bradley doesn't look ready. Frimpong doesn't look like he understands how to play football. There is just so many things that just aren't right. It's hard to even know where to start. If it wasn't for Alisson Becker in that first half, making 3 world-class saves, and the post helping us, Crystal Palace could have given us the whooping of a lifetime. And we couldn't have complained. I don't know what else to say. He cannot ignore Chiesa anymore. He cannot ignore Chiesa. And Mohamed Salah cannot be played on reputation alone. And if he is played, he cannot not be taken off when he isn't performing. Because it's setting a dangerous precedent now. If anybody can play shit and keep getting played, what is the point? Slot has to start picking and playing Chiesa because he goddamn deserves it. Matthew said, maybe it's just me. Slot pissed me off with the Gakpo sub. We have Fede and Rio on the bench. I love Cody, but he's useless when we lack creativity. I actually thought Cody helped when he came on. Too much checking inside again, but I actually thought he gave us another outlet. And at least we were getting some crosses in at one point. Arwina said, bringing Chiesa on so late was crazy. Slot is stubborn. You could even hear in his comments, I'm going to read you out something that Slot said about Chiesa. And it almost feels like he begrudgingly feels he has to give him praise. So he said, if he didn't do as well as he did against Southampton, we would probably not look at him as he gets more playing time. But he did, so normally that leads to a bit more playing time if you can keep producing in training sessions. That is a load of shite. So if we're talking about producing, how is Salah getting 90 minutes week after week when he ain't producing? Like, again, this isn't about what you've done in the past. This is about what we're doing now. So if Slot wants to play favourites, that ain't going to fucking work. Because reputations are worthless. Performances are what counts. And Federico deserves to be starting the majority of games based off what we've seen this season so far. Bumbadog said, we needed this loss. We've been poor, unfortunate all season, papering over the cracks and lifeless performances. Our play lacks soul and attitude, so we think we needed a loss. And just like this. Thank you, sir. Wayne said, Vert's blocked what would be a big chance. And he missed a sitter as well. He won't get an easier chance to open his Liverpool account than that one that he missed, which was, 4 yards out? But look, all of that aside, and we will pick the bones out of it, it's important we don't lose here the fact that Crystal Palace deserved to win that game and with a better side. Gio said, players are still not clicking, defence is in the mud. In the mud, I think, is being kind, mate. Absolutely embarrassing, our defence. Embarrassing. No physicality. One pass was opening us up over and over and over. From set pieces, we look weak and vulnerable. Both goals we conceded today came from set pieces. Our players don't seem to know what direction to head the ball. I can't figure it out. How can we be so poor from a set piece? We have big units of players in there. Suleiman said, so far Wirtz is not an upgrade on Diaz. Well, he's not supposed to be an upgrade on Diaz because he's not supposed to play in the same position. But fair point, he hasn't delivered. That's fair enough. See what I mean about Salah, Craig? We're an old PSG. So I've always got what you meant about Salah. But my point was, mate, whatever else happened, you were only focusing on Salah. Salah was terrible today again. And I'm not here to defend him. I call it like I see it, as you know. And today, there are very few players in that team that can hold their heads up. I thought Dominic Szoboszlai, again, was very good at right back when he was pushed in there. I thought he made a big difference. Frimpong was awful. Absolutely, that substitution weakened us. Again, Arna has to be owning this and has to stop playing favourites. Canade, that situation needs to be resolved quickly because half the games now, he had 3 games in a row where he looked decent. After 2 games where he looked like Bambi on ice. And then today he was diabolically poor. Chiesa at 90 minutes does 10 times what Salah or Gakpo do, said Lewis. Again, so please don't think that I don't agree with all the Chiesa points that everybody's made all week. The reason I was so adamant he wasn't going to start was because I knew Arna wasn't going to pick him after playing 90 minutes. But like every single Liverpool fan on the planet, I want Chiesa playing more minutes. I love the hunger I see in him. I love the effort I see in him. He makes a difference. So to everybody that says that, I promise you, I'm right there with you on it. But when I do my predictions and stuff, I'm trying to guess what the manager's going to do. And I always knew he was never going to start it, as much as I agree with all of what you've said. Slot got it all wrong. Taking off Wirtz Maka right when they were starting to click was a mistake. No worries though. Palace are just our bogey team. On to the next. So, again, fair points. I wouldn't just go as easy as saying Palace are a bogey team on to the next, because we do have to address the performances. I think that's important. We've won most of our games. This is our first loss this season. So, in that regard, bigger picture, okay. But we can't ignore the performances, because even in the perfect start, we've all said and been honest about the fact that it was late winners. And you can say it's luck, but what it is papering over the cracks. Finding ways to win games is a good trait. But we haven't yet seen a performance, even a 45, that we recognise as, okay, we're going in the right direction. First 35 against Atletico, I think probably our best passage this season. Today, in that first 45 minutes, like I said, and I don't want to exaggerate this, 4-0 at half-time wouldn't have been an unfair reflection on the game. We got lucky that the world's greatest goalkeeper kept us in it. We gifted them chance after chance after chance. We gave away possession time after time after time. Our centre-backs and midfielders were getting bullied off the ball too easily. VI Joker said, games don't get easier. Tough trips away to Galatasaray and then Chelsea. Well, the focus, mate, for me, has to be on Chelsea. Yes, Galatasaray away in the Champions League is important, but you take a point in that because of the way the league format is. Next week, against Chelsea. That's huge. And what this has done today is say to Arsenal tomorrow, go up to win at St James's Park, lads, and it's game back on. So we always talked about playing first being important. We had the chance to win today and put the pressure back on them. City won today. Arsenal have a game tomorrow, but they know that we've dropped points today. So we've made their life a little bit easier. Ryan said, I said yesterday, Craig, Canada and Gomez ain't good enough, but it's a team performance and everybody was dreadful bar Allison. It is. Look, again, don't disagree. Canada went off a bit too late for me. It should have been earlier. But we are also, like you said, limited in our options now at centre-back. Genuinely wondering what Slot has against Chiesa. Nothing. So, sorry, I'm going to have to just take a breath. Chiesa not starting the game today was completely understandable. I have no problem with that with Slot. But in general, and in how he's treated him so far, I agree with you. But today him not starting made sense because we've rested most of the first team. Maybe coming on earlier was a fair point. But he does seem to have something against him. I don't mean to disagree with you in that way. But I do think he's getting no choice now but to start to play him. Because what really actually pisses me off, mate, is that he just seemingly refuses to take Salah off. And I know we have to talk about the fact that he's an icon and all that stuff. But as a manager, when you walk into a dressing room and you want respect and credibility, people have to know that nobody's carrying passengers. Reputations don't win you games. Salah can come up with a moment, but he hasn't. And it's not once, and it's not twice. It's many times this season so far. At what point does the manager say, look, time for a little spot on the bench for you, give Fede a chance? Because he deserves it. Ian said I would have been happy with a draw. I wouldn't have been happy, Ian, but I'd have been relieved with a draw. When the winner came in at the end, we know what that's like on the other side of it. Palace fans will be elated leaving the stadium, and I want to be honest about it. They deserve the win. Pavan, thank you. Appreciate you. Chad said, I remember saying 1 month ago that I'm going to be patient because of all the new players. I'm running out of fucks to give. I'm sorry, I don't know. Eljo. Sorry if I mispronounced, my friend. I don't mean to. The goal post was better than Canade. Well, it did more to help us than Canade did today, mate. I'll give you that one. So I think we have a man of the match poll, do we? Yeah, so man of the match poll is down to 2 because that's all that's deserved. Alisson Becker and Chiesa. And I agree with Connor on that because nobody else deserved to be in a poll for a man of the match because they were shocking. HFMCE said Slot solved one problem at right back, then recreated it with Frimpong, who's worse than Engamoa physically. He needs to stop playing the Dutch lads. So you're right about solving the problem at right back when he put on Szoboszlai there. That did fix that problem. I agree with you. Frimpong was, I don't think bad cuts the mustard with what he was when he came on. It was one mistake after another. One ball was played to him, normal pass. He gets it stuck between his feet and then puts it out behind him for a throw. Played passes behind players, gave the ball away. Just nothing. Did nothing but become a hindrance when he was on. The Elder said Slot is another Linder, square pegs, round holes. So I'm interested to hear what the manager actually says after this one. Because I don't want to hear him bitching about referees. I don't want to hear him moaning about it. I want to hear him getting into his players. Because that is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Yes, Palace is a difficult game. But we didn't go there with the right attitude. Far from it. Pulse Champ said, bogey team gone, but performances are very worrying. Can we get... this bogey team stuff doesn't make sense. Look at the history of us and Palace. They aren't a bogey team. They really aren't. But, that said, they were better than us. And that is not a nice or easy thing to say when you've seen your club drop nearly £500 million on new players. They're not being difference makers, are they? You know, Isak gets a pass, of course. He's still coming back to fitness. Maybe should have scored today, but I'm not including him in this. Ekitike could have helped today, but it was his own fault he wasn't there. The centre-back problem and why we're conceding defensively, that needs to be addressed. Somehow, some way, he needs to find a way. And the sideways and backwards bullshit passing from left back to centre back to right back, that ain't it. That isn't giving us defensive solidity. Because we still have to find that pass. And then we're being dispossessed. Ruthless, thank you, mate. Appreciate that and your membership. YNWA right back at you. Bellum said Canade needs to be gone in January. His head's in Madrid. I don't know why his head's all over the shop. It would be unfair of me to try to pinpoint it. I dare say you're probably right. But most importantly, there has to be consequences. And this is one thing that I really get wound up with managers. There seems to be no consequences for actions. Canade has played 50% of the league games appallingly bad. And yeah, here we are, still looking at him. Then he plays 2 decent games, gives a Billy Big Bollocks on social media, going on to every account that praises him, giving it the love hearts and the big and calling out to people that tell him he plays shit. How about just shut the fuck up, Ibu, and focus on playing, and focus on not doing what you did today, and focus on not being a liability. Because if you want your move to Madrid, you're going to have to play for it. Because you're awful for us at the minute, mate. Awful. And I know there will be a lot of fans who continue to blow smoke up your arse on social media. But we call it as we see it on this channel. And he has been a liability this season. Whether it's for Madrid or not, I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care. But I know that he's not worth 200 grand a week upwards. And I know that Liverpool need to find better. Because he is all over the shop. Salah has been nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. And yes, we've brought in new players. And yes, we want the goal burden spread around. But I also want him to look like he's able to be involved in the games. And every time he seems to be throwing his arms up in the air, falling to the ground, not getting free kicks, playing the ball off defenders' legs. Just nowhere. Nowhere near what needs to be. Wirtz, I still don't understand how we're going to get the best out of him. You can see he takes up decent positions, but he's still taking too many touches. The amount of players on our team that seem to be able to make the ball bobble in possession and struggle to bring it down out of the air and find a Liverpool player with a header. This is all basic stuff, and we've done it badly. Let's just go back to one moment in that second half. I think it was around 86, 87 minutes maybe. Curtis Jones gets the ball in the centre circle or thereabouts. There's one Liverpool player to his left, which is Milos Kerkez. Another Liverpool player, Rio Wengamoa, is about 15 yards forward. What does Jones do? Puts the fucking ball in between the two of them and out for a throw-in. On the ground. Like, that is the level of laziness. And that is the level of not being switched on. It's just not good enough. We've done this one, sorry. Or have we? Oh, I haven't. This week suddenly becomes critical with difficult trips to Turkey and the bridge. Slot gets schooled again by Glasner, not the first time. Curtis said second half deserved a point. Overall not good enough from the reigning champions. Kerkez turning blind to hook the ball, put it in your own damn, put your damn boot through it. Yes, Kerkez's clearance was shocking. No argument with that, Curtis. Deserved a point from the second half? I think it would have been a lucky point because we should have been out of sight behind at half time. And I think we got what we really deserved from that game, as painful as it was the way it came about. I think Palace were the better team. And again, we can talk about the Milos Kerkez clearance and a few other things. We can talk about the corner that wasn't a corner, but I'd rather concentrate on why we can't defend them. Why cannot we not defend a long throw-in the last seconds of the game? Simple. You've got Canade in, or not for that one, sorry, you've got Virgil in there 6 foot plus. Gravenberch's in there, your goalkeeper. And we can't defend it. Can't defend anything. We get bullied in our own 18-yard box. We get bullied on the halfway line. Mateta absolutely owned Canade in that first 45 minutes. Not good enough. Stevie Boy said Salah will always start because Slot doesn't rate Chiesa. So obvious. Well, fan pressure is going to come as well because people are seeing the difference Chiesa makes. And again, he came on today and got a goal. Yes, it wasn't a goal that got us a point in the end, but he tried and he fought hard and he had another chance. At least he's doing something. So it's up to Arna. It's his job, his reputation. If he keeps playing players on reputation, it's going to come back to bite him in the arse. If he plays players on performances and who deserves to start, we could have a much better chance. That's where I'm at with it. And I say this from a place of idolising so many of these lads. But I'm not blind. And I'm not going to just be a happy clapper. Salah doesn't deserve to be playing 90 minutes all the time. He doesn't. Canade doesn't deserve to be playing full stop. Alisson saved us so many times today. I got in trouble with the wife for screaming at the TV for the last 100 minutes. Tonight was not good. It was appalling, said the Irish Wanderer. Charlie said, I want to see Salah's new deal and clauses because there must be a clause that says he can't get subbed. Absolutely stuck the gaff up and he stayed on. So, we'll never see that contract, mate. And I don't actually want to see it because if, for some mad reason, that clause exists, I'm embarrassed because it shouldn't exist. It shouldn't even be allowed to be considered in a contract. I'd imagine it's not there. But that still doesn't explain why the manager's never ever holding him to account. The whole he can have a moment shit only lasts for so long before you have to say, when are we going to see that? We ain't seen it. You know? We ain't. Nessie said, if Wirtz isn't ready, why not bring him as a sub instead of starting him only to be humiliated by every CDM we face? He offers nothing as a starter right now. He doesn't offer much as a starter right now. It's hard to argue against that, Nessie. Yeah, like that's one I really struggle to defend. You know, I want Wirtz to succeed. I believe he will succeed. But, you know, for anybody who's saying he's not doing it at the minute, I think it's more than fair to say that. Ian said, I'll always support the team even if we win, lose or draw, but I would have been happy with the draw. Of course, we'll always support the team, Ian, but it doesn't mean we can't criticise what deserves to be criticised. You know? This wasn't an unlucky loss. You can talk about a late goal conceded, but it wasn't an unlucky loss. They deserved it, and we weren't good enough. Palace have our number, but we didn't turn up in the first half. I couldn't see any shape. Second half the same. Got to stop chasing games. Yeah, agree. You know, all that was at the end was what every Manchester United manager since Ferguson has done. Start emptying the bench of any attacking talent and hope that you can force something. But the first 45 is the worrying part because let's not forget, midweek we rested Alisson, Canade, Virgil. We rested Gravenberch. We rested Szoboszlai, Wirtz. We rested Salah, Gakpo. And that's the result of that. That's the result of a week between games. That shite was a week to prepare? How? There's no logical reason that with a week to prepare and a rest that is what we see. Awful. Ruthless said, in my opinion, after Chiesa scored, we never should have been playing for a win. We did the hard part and we managed to salvage a result. Then we gave it away. Again, I get it. But I still don't understand how we didn't defend the throw-in. Nor do I understand how we didn't defend the corner. Like, bullied. That's my biggest concern, is that we are being physically bullied every time there's a set piece. Stargirl said, owners have given Slot a lot. The buck stops with him. Last few games painted over the cracks because we've been winning. We got found out. So yeah, I'm not going to be shouting about FSG on this one. Stargirl, like you've said, he's been backed with great players. Yes, we're probably a centre-back short, fair enough, but that's one disappointment in the window. But yeah, it's on the manager. No doubt about that. This performance is on the manager. Damien said, we can't be resting so many for the Carabao Cup. We always seem to lose an edge. Terrible game by us, and Palace deserved it. So I've no problem with the resting of the players, Damien, but I want to see the benefit of the rest. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point in resting them if that's the result of it? A performance meek, weak. Will, so we can't be surprised. It's been coming all season so far. We can't rely that we're winning each game. Like, you're right, mate. Just no denial whatsoever that we've been getting away with it. We've spoken about that every week. And it's been coming. I mean, I can only speak for me here, Will, but the disappointment for me today, yes, is of course partly the loss. But it's also, how are we regressing instead of getting better? Like, that's the big concern to me. Like, what are we now? 6 league games in. We played a Champions League game. We played a League Cup game. So we played 8 games, and we still don't look like we're gelling. We still don't look like there's a rhythm. We still don't look like they understand what's happening. That's the biggest concern in all of it to me. Thoughts on Gravenberch? So I'm going to be honest and say I struggle to really understand how he played today so far. I haven't had enough time to process it. I don't remember feeling particularly emotional one way or the other about his performance today. But he is the best we have in that position. So, right, let's give you some quotes from the manager. He said, very difficult first half. They did really well and deserved to be 1-0 up. We were lucky it was only 1-0. Second half, it was the opposite. It took a while before we scored, and we did it with minutes left. But from a second set piece, they won the game. So, again, let's break that down. Very difficult first half, yeah, because your tactics were shit, aren't they? And the players weren't performing. Didn't see him mention that. Any reflection of his own choices there, perhaps? They did deserve to be 1-0 up, and we were lucky it was only 1-0. Again, I can't disagree with that one. Another comment here from Slot. He said, if you want to compete, you need a very positive balance with set pieces, and even more in this league. It was one of our biggest strengths last season. Now we've conceded 2 against Newcastle and 2 here, but the league is more and more about set pieces. Well, with all due respect, right, this shite from Arna about the league being more and more about set pieces, mate, you were just gifted a load of quality attacking players. You were gifted the players to help break down the low blocks. It shouldn't be more about set pieces. It should be about us finding a way with the talent in our squad to take games away from people. But we're not doing that. If he thinks we're controlling the game by keeping the ball and going side to side, he's delusional. We controlled nothing today. We were weak and bullied. And he needs to find a way to get that edge and physicality back. And this set piece shite needs to stop. We were bullied. Admit it and fucking fix it. Aaron said, can't remember one good full 90 since February. Yotsu said, let's not forget Salah blocked Szoboszlai's shot. Not only blocked it, would have been offside if he scored it and didn't need to go near it. So even worse than just blocking it, mate. He would have been offside if it went in. Richie said, would be nice to see Wirtz play a full 90 to what he's got. And Maka was just getting into the game. Szoboszlai is our best right back, sadly, and Salah needs to be benched. HFMCE said our midfield don't offer solid protection, and I will say Trent is badly missed. Mohamed Salah is lost without him. Might as well just drop him totally. Excuse me. Simon said, we need to take a breath, but too many undisciplined performances. Canade, Frimpong, Salah, Bradley, so many amateur ball errors today. Focus. Agreed. A lot of basic stuff, Simon. You're right, mate. And look, of course, we all need to take a breath, but like we've said, and I like to try to be honest, we've been getting away with it. We have been getting away with it, and today we were found out on it. There was no covering up of the cracks. There was no late heroics. The late heroics came from Palace, and they deserved their win. And we need to find ways to actually perform well. Like, really perform well. Arne Slot said their game style fits really well to their players. They have a low block with fast players on the break and big men in Mateta. We had a lot of problems in the first half. The rest we had possession, but very hard to beat that low block. Fuck off. Seriously, just stop, Arne. That is nonsense. This was not Palace playing with a low block. They attacked in numbers and quickly. And they scored from set pieces, Arne. No fucking low block. Set pieces, mate, they scored from. And you were given the keys to unblock the low block when you brought £113 million Wirtz in. You brought £125 million Isak in. You've got Rio Engamoa. You've got creative midfielders and Soboslai and McAllister. This low block excuse is pathetic. Our manager needs to fucking grow a pair. Uninspiring. We had this coming. Hopefully we learn. It's a blizzard. Who's your dream centre-back for January's window? Well, I wouldn't say no to Mark Gay, Liam, at this point. When's your next tattoo coming? Never. JJ9 said Ibu always been overrated. Good stopper, but most of the time he's just tight as bramble. Replace him with a centre-back who has a brain. Look, I'm just wound up by what Arne's had to say there, because I think, again, he's not being bluntly honest. So 1 minute, the league is about set pieces, and then the next minute he's cry-arsing about a low block. No, mate, you were schooled, once again, by Glasner, who had our number. And we played right into their hands. They knew what we were going to do, and they prepared for it. Where was our preparation, Arne? Where was our preparation? Where was our plan to counteract what they were doing? Playing too centrally again, not holding with. I'm sorry, but that I just really wound up by that shite that he said after the game. He said on the winning goal, it's never ideal when you concede an extra time, but there was a sub, so a minute extra was fair. I have to check when they exactly scored, but we have to defend the throw-in better. We take learnings from all the games we've played and take more from a game like this. So on the time, I've no problem with the extra time the ref added on. And I don't know why he wants to check the time when it was taken, because it doesn't change a goddamn thing. Defending the throw-in is what needed to be done. Going back and looking at the time ain't worth the shit, Arne. Go back and look at why we were bullied yet again from a set piece. Focus on that and not the time. Suzuka said Bradley over Frimpong, Rob over Kirkes, Fede over Salah, a rolled midfield of Gravenboy, Soboslai, McAllister, and I'd snap your hand off for Gay in January over Canade. Thank you for your super chat, my friend. Reform said, to be fair, Palace will be this season's David against Goliath. If we play like this, all games lazy, then we deserve to lose. Slot horrid subs again. Yeah, look, in all of this, Reform, like you've said, it is important we give Palace their credit. They were the better team. They deserve to win. Love Dom all game, said Abu Zahar. Robbo should have started. Adam said, Kirkes, why isn't he clearing it upfield with his right instead of just putting out for a throw-in? We deserve to lose, so fair play to Palace. Fuming. I think fuming is right, mate. All season, been worrying late goals, paper over the cracks, said Mastad. David Coughlin said every player except Fede. We're all cow poo. Salah's legs have gone. He's done, said Swap Neil. Adam said, I think it's easy to blame Ekatike, but everyone played today. Again, you blame Ekatike for not being available. You know, that was certainly in his own hands, but the performance came from our own poorness and our own, I would like to say lack of preparation, but we had a week for a lot of those players. The only luck was that it wasn't 4-1. Yeah, and we couldn't have denied them if they had have scored 3, 4, 5 in the first half. They would have been value for that. Iman said, when was the last time we won a game convincingly? Not this season anyway, mate. Not this season. I'm like, Bournemouth 4-2 looks convincing, but again, it took some late goals. So yeah, not this season. 12 subs to go to hit 352k. Hit that sub button, lads. Yes, look, if you can, please do. Only 11 to go now to 352,000. So appreciate you here. If you haven't subscribed, please do, and I'd love you to hit the like button as well. Obviously, not a not to like with the performance, but right, I'm gonna fly through these remaining super chats, and then I'm gonna go record the Anfield Agenda podcast and the player ratings video. Don't forget as well about our giveaway. Oh, not that one, this one. If you'd like to enter to win the signed and framed Diogo Jota shirt, get yourselves over to the Anfield Agenda Instagram account. With thanks to our friends at the Collector's Corner, we're giving away that shirt. Right, where was I? This one from Bradley. So many problems, constantly sideways and backwards passing. Chiesa needed to be on earlier. Isak missed so many chances, nowhere near good enough. He missed one really good one that he sort of created himself as well when he got into the 6-yard box. He had a header that was a little bit behind him that he couldn't get down. And then I think there was maybe one more that he should have scored. But he should have scored today, Bradley, yes. Michael said, Slot needs to understand Salah can be subbed sometimes. I dare say, mate, if I took a poll and asked, should Salah be subbed off more from these performances, it will be a landslide to yes. Young TK said, Chiesa, best finishing in the team now, and has a winner's mentality. Watch them grab the ball when he scored and run back to the halfway line to restart. Yeah, he can't be ignored anymore. He can't. Latif said, we overpaid for Wirtz. 100 million isn't a project money. I'm struggling with this one because I can't disagree he hasn't been good enough. I mean, there's no way I can say that. But I do still fully believe that there is an amazing footballer there that we will see the benefit of. But he is taking time. And it would be understandable if he's coming off the bench for a few games. JJ Drumming, thank you, mate. VI Joker said, Palace in second place could be a dark horse for the Champions League spot. Well, they're on a run now of, 18 unbeaten? Something like that. M said, it's concerning how Szoboszlai is by far our best right back. It is. Like, Bradley is one thing, but when Frimpong came on, you want him bombing forward. You want him losing that pace. You want him overlapping. You want him putting in crosses. I don't remember any of that. I just remember him stuttering, giving the ball away, and just looking lost out there. Will said, I'd like Arnott to be honest about why Mo stays on when playing poor. Chiesa spent his career on the right and yet still hasn't come in for Salah. So, I keep being pedantic about this point, Will, but he actually played more games centrally for Juventus than he did anywhere else. But your point is still valid. I dare say that Slot's answer would be, you leave players like him on because they can change a game in a moment. But, when you're going game after game after game after game after game and that moment isn't there, at some point you have to go, well, this needs to change. And I'm not talking about a late penalty, because a penalty is a penalty. That's not a magical moment. That's just somebody doing what they should do from 12 yards. So at some point, yeah, he's going to have to admit to himself that there's an issue there and that Chiesa deserves to start. Sam said, it's an eye-opener. Mohamed Salah should be getting more ball to get his form back. He's done it before. He'll do it again. Our main problem is definitely our midfield and defence. But look, we have to be realistic about Salah, Sam. And I'm not saying he's done. I'm not. Like you, I do think there's more to come from him. But let's not be saying he's not getting enough of the ball. You know, when he gets the ball, he's checking inside, passing it, and trying to just force things at times. You know, he's not running at people. He's not taking on players. He's not going past them. So, you know, he needs to take the responsibility on himself as well. Charlie said Slot sounded like Arteta in that interview. Yeah. Looking for someone to blame. Looking at the time to blame. Look at the defence, mate. Look at the bullying of our own players from set pieces and sort it out, because that's the problem. Who should Liverpool sign in what positions? Well, obviously, we all know there's an argument for a backup DM or a competitive DM. And on top of that, a centre-back obviously is very clearly needed in January. And the club need to get Canade to grow a pair now and start to say what he wants to do. Because this is going to be a season full of Madrid stories, every bad game being because of that, and it isn't a healthy narrative, and it isn't a healthy situation, and all the burying our heads in the sand that the club love to do on this shit cannot happen. We need to be proactive and sort the centre-back situation out as quickly as we can. With Richard Hughes and his stats people, he will be monitoring this. I think he'll have a few words if things don't improve with the money spent. And rightly so. Like, we do understand that there's going to be a while for players to get into a rhythm. But I always talk about progression. And when a manager comes in, you need to see things changing. So we didn't have a new manager this summer, but we had lots of new players. But we're not seeing 8 games in a progression that we're getting better a bit each week. That's, to me, the most worrying thing in all of this is, where is the gelling? Where is that progression? Where is the signs that we're figuring it out? Trent has the defensive qualities of Trent with the attacking qualities of Walker. I think you mean Frimpong, I think. Nimrod. But look, ladies and gents, I'm going to go and record the player ratings video. The Anfield Agenda man of the match, unsurprisingly, with over 7,000 votes and 81% is Alisson Becker, and it is absolutely the right decision. He was by far and away our best player, and if it wasn't for him today, that game would have been past us by half-time. So, I will be back tonight at about 8:30 for the late night agenda. I hope you can join me for it, because I think you'll agree we've still a lot to talk about. I'm off to record the Anfield Agenda podcast with Connor now. That'll be up later on tonight as well. And the player ratings video will be out in about an hour's time. So again, I really appreciate you guys being here with me today and your support. It wasn't the result we wanted. It was the result we deserved. And we've got to figure it out moving forward. So congratulations to Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner's side. They were the better team on the day. They deserve their victories. And we've got to figure it out. So, yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again for your support. And don't forget to check out our competition with our friends at the Collector's Corner. Nimrod just sent in a super chat there right at the end to say that you meant Bradley. You could have probably picked either fullback, mate, and I probably should still agreed with you. But, yeah, thank you, folks. We'll see you soon.